don't think Bumgarner's going anywhere. Of course, we got 12 days to go. As quickly as the Giants have won 6 in a row, what if they lose 6 in a row? And they go from being 2.5 out in the wild card to 10 out in the wild card in the next 12 days. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. Yeah, if that happens, I can see Tucker going to San Francisco. But here's the thing. The Giants are not going to trade Bumgarner, and do the Astros want to even deal with them with a Kyle Tucker product? And I've said this before. Is something going on with Tucker we don't know about? I mean, every other prospect. Let's go down the food chain of ways, okay? Michael Chavis, who is the top prospect for the Red Sox in a very poor farm system, he was rated like number 90 amongst all major league prospects when he was called up. Okay? Now, I can tell you, Malpal, I've met Tucker. I've talked to him. He played at Carolina League 2 years ago. He's a great kid. I'm legit. I don't think it's attitude. I don't think it's work ethic. Now, here's one Phil Chappie came up with I kind of like, but let's finish the discussion on Tucker. But all these guys, Chavez comes up, Riley comes up for the Braves, Alvarez comes up for Houston. But no Tucker comes up. At no time does Tucker come up. What I know is that last year when he was not succeeding, the Astros thought he had a glitch in his swing, and they were going to work on and adjust that. I haven't seen him play this year in person. I can't comment on that. Phil Chappie's in the chat room commenting that Tucker could go to the Pirates. And I assume if that happens, Chappie, you've got Valdez going back to Houston. Andrea, Roto Lady, maybe he does have a bad work ethic, but I know his attitude is good from when I knew him 2 years ago and talked to him like 3 days in a row and watched him play. Now, 2 years, things can change, but there's got to be something going on. It's just a very curious situation. And my theory has been there is something going on there. Astros are keeping it at AAA where he can succeed, and he is a trade chip, and he will be dealt at the trade deadline. Fantasy-wise, how many of you guys have stashed him, have him on your teams? Or how many of you are like me, you haven't stashed him because you feel like there is something going on there, and you don't want to use a roster spot with Kyle Tucker? Oakland losing to Minnesota 3-6. Told you that already. And again, another player there. What do we do with Luzardo, the rookie pitching prospect, who can't seem to stay healthy for any reason at all? You know, if it isn't one thing, it's another. Will he even see the mound this year in the major leagues? Do you have him stashed on your team? Now, looking at run differential this morning, Yankees at 130, Twins at 113. Astros at 99. Who's fourth? The swinging A's. 95. The fifth best run differential in the American League this morning. The Tampa Bay Rays. Wild card this morning, American League. Cleveland in first place in that wild card, having won 8 of 10 and 5 in a row. They play home to the Royals today. Gotta like that, don't you? Ramirez is going to hit again because he's playing the Royals. Oakland and Tampa tied for the second wild card. Boston 2 games out of the second wild card. Texas 4.5 and the Angels 5.5. All the teams I just named have winning records. The Angels have lost 2 in a row. Texas has lost 4 in a row. Those are the American League standings. Again, Cleveland 4 out. Oakland 5.5 out, Tampa 8 out in their respective divisions. I got a few prospects I want to talk about with you for just a few moments, and I'm looking in the chat room. It's a crowded chat room on a Friday morning, and it's great to see you guys. Lenny's having a great time. Lenny should be back on Monday. I really appreciate Lenny allowing me the opportunity to fill in for him. I usually don't do podcasts on Fridays. I'm a Monday through Thursday kind of guy, but when the legend asked you, I jumped on it. I enjoy this slot because I get a lot of feedback in the chat rooms. And if you have player questions, trade questions, prospect questions, let's raise them. If I can't answer them, we can at least talk about it, and I'll let you know what the other guys are saying in the chat room. Of course, you can look at it, follow along with me. Guest Joanna, let's see. I'm trying to see who is with me in the chat room this morning. And let's give a shout out to Andre, of course, Beerman, Clarona, Cyclosis, Cam, Cha-Cha, DK Loosh, Easy Kill, Jack, Lou Landers, Malpal, Phil Chappie, that guy, Timothy Hooker, Unholy Toledo, and Zelmo. Now I'm going to give a little spot because I got this thing going on with my partner in crime, Phil Chappie. Chappie does his show on Tuesday nights, and having done morning podcasts and evening podcasts, I know that our chat room participation drops off precipitously at night. I get it. A lot of things going on. But you're really missing a treat. A lot of information and presented in a very digestible way when you miss Phil Chappie's show at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays. He follows me on Tuesday nights at 6. I go at 6. He goes at 7. And then he and I get together and kind of wrap it out at 9. And I don't know what he's got planned for next week, but those are shows you certainly need to stay tuned for. The rest of the day today, JJ Sports Talk at 2, Fantasy Gangster, Cha-Cha, and Lou at 4. And then Money One is twice as nice with Cam, and that's at 5:30. I always listen to that one, Cam, because you give me a few really good pointers on where to go with those things, and I'm ready. Yeah, I bet you're blushing, Chappie. Come on, I know you're not. Saturday, I've even talked to these guys. I've thought about trying to do something on Saturday. The Dugout with Doug Boyle, Saturday morning at 10. Lou's baseball at 12. And so I may look into doing something at 11 on Saturdays. Not tomorrow. I have 2 daughters. They're moving into college and apartments next week. It's going to be a hairy kind of week next week, but we'll get to it. Let's get back to some prospects, okay? And here are my top 2 of the day. Yeah, I always like to try to give you at least 2, but I'm going to give you more than that this morning. But here's a player that I'm really intrigued by, and I'm looking in the chat room, so come on and give me some feedback. Yeah, Easy Kill, I love you being here, man. It's great. There you go. Chappie, if you want to go on Saturday, you let me know. We'll pull it together. What about Gavin Lux for the Dodgers? Okay, I got a theory, but let me give you some facts before I give you a theory. Now, the Dodgers have a lot of depth. Gavin Lux is one of those. He's their number 2 overall prospect. He's number 31 in all of Major League Baseball. Gavin Lux homered for a 5th straight game on Thursday. He went 5 for 6. Yeah, that's, project that out. That's an .833 average. He added a pair of doubles. Oklahoma City routed Iowa, the Cubs team. And that kind of dominance has been who Gavin Lux is. He was promoted to AAA on June 27. He's played 15 games at AAA. Check this line out. Are you ready? Write these numbers down. They're that good. His batting average, .531 in 15 games at AAA. His on-base percentage, .577. And his slugging percentage, 1.063. Now, I haven't done the math, but I can tell you real quick, that gives him a OPS of over 1.6. He has hit safely in all 15 games at AAA. Overall, he's reached base in 28 consecutive games. He hit .313 with 13 homers over 64 games at AA Tulsa prior to his promotion. Now, the Dodgers have had somewhat of a revolving door at second base. Seager, when healthy, is the shortstop. Do they pull, and I'm going way back in time, guys, but remember Greg Jeffries with the Mets in 1988, The Mets go all the way to the playoffs, and Greg Jeffries in September gets the call up in 1988. He never had a season like his 1 month in '88, a.k.a. Shane Spencer with the Yankees. But in that 1 month, he was a man on fire. And I'm wondering, do the Dodgers roll the dice this year, call Lux up, put him at second base, settle that position, go out and get a closer, Vasquez, or someone, Colomé, Green, make those moves and have their best possible foot in the door to break a 31-year World Series drought? Gavin Lux. Now, that's my theory. They do it. Okay? Chris Taylor, I'm with you, Malpal, out or relegated to the bench. He's a reserve strictly. Kike Hernandez had a great game yesterday, 2 home runs against the Phillies, but that's been an anomaly, not the general rule. I think they do it. I think they roll the dice. They call Lux up in August. And so for fantasy purposes, as this is a fantasy baseball network kind of thing going on, right? Do we add Gavin Lux? No risk, no reward. I think I'm going to add him, sit on him, see what happens. Worst I can do in 3 or 4 weeks is cut him. I've done worse than that before. And guess what? You have too. Yeah, we all have. One more player. And this one I put in the major leagues really soon too. Chappie says Lux after Bichette. And I've preached on Bichette previous days, but I'm a big believer in Bichette for Toronto. I think that's imminent. And I can see them at any time now trading Freddie Galvis away so that Bichette can play shortstop in Toronto. But he's not the other player I want to talk about this morning in great detail. I want to talk about Luis Robert for the White Sox. He has dominated every level he's played at this year. He's 21 years old. He's the White Sox #1 prospect. And do you know Eloy Jimenez is on the IL? He's the #5 prospect in all of baseball. I had the privilege of watching him last year. He was injured. No home runs last year, no power. He was working through injury. He didn't even play the first half last year, and he was at high A. Good kid, nice kid, fan-friendly. Yeah, I got a lot of autographs. Baseballs, cards. I even got those 5x7 Bowman pictures that's gold. It's pretty awesome. I might take a picture of it and put it as my screenshot on one of my shows. How about that? But this year, he starts the year at single A, high A, Winston-Salem. He's promoted then to double A, Birmingham. He's then promoted to triple A, Charlotte. At triple A, Charlotte, oh my gosh, it's like a video game. This is last night, in just his 7th game with AAA Charlotte, he hit his 4th and 5th home runs at AAA. Remember, I said his 7th game, he's already hit 5 home runs for the Knights. It was his 3rd multi-homer game of the season, which brings his totals between Class A Advanced, AA, and AAA. You ready for these numbers? A .356 average, a .409 on-base percentage, a .659 slug. 21 homers, 23 doubles, 7 triples, 32 stolen bases, 74 runs scored, and 64 RBIs, all in 82 games. You talk about elite prospects. You've got to talk about Luis Robert. And I believe he's got nothing left to prove at AAA. So, who gets the call first? Robert, Bichette, Lux? Are all these guys still coming up? And these are not shabby players, guys. These are people with great promise. They're going to play and they're going to be impact. If they come up this year, they're going to be impact players, fantasy and